Bukit Piton Forest Reserve was formerly under Ulu Segama Forest Reserve and classified as a commercial forest reserve. And it has been a reserve, I think, since the late 50s or early 60s. When we launched the Ulu Segama Malwa Sustainable Forest Management Project, we included Bukit Piton as part of the project area. And at that time, it was being logged. It was also damaged by fires, but the uniqueness of this reserve is it is the only remaining refuge for wildlife and other biodiversity, particularly for orangutans.
I think the main reason why Bukit Piton is so special compared with other forest reserve because of the existent trapped orangutan population within the area. So we estimate about 200 to 250 individuals trapped within degraded forest condition.
The other angle about it is the Segama River itself. These 12,000 hectares of Bukit Piton is divorced from the bulk of Ulu Segama Tanam. And for animals that cannot cross the river, this is the only remaining reserve. So something got to be done. We have animals like orangutans that are moving into that 12,000 hectares as the last remaining refuge. But unfortunately, due to bad logging practices, damage of fires, some encroachments here and there, it is not an ecology that is sustainable to maintain whatever animal population we may have there. So that's why we move in, we included that as part of our project area, and we had to start the process of rehabilitation.
In accordance to our first forest management plan for the period of 2008 to 2017, our forest restoration program will be focused at Bukit Piton Forest Reserve, and our overall target is about 9,500 hectares or 80% of the area to be rehabilitated. The activity is focused at the most degraded area with intensive forest planting and forest stand improvement at the area with a better forest structure.
WWF-Malaysia has committed forest restoration effort for 2,400 hectares in the northern part of Ulu Segama Malwa Forest Reserve. To date, about 2,058 hectares are funded by 6 donors and 342 hectares remain unpledged. As of June 2013, out of the 2,058 hectares, 1,710 hectares have been fully planted. The forest restoration works in Bukit Piton are still ongoing and are expected to be completed by 2016.
Financially, WWF-Malaysia has contributed great milestone in raising such restoration funds, as we considered the cost per hectare basis is higher than other area because of the severity of degradation in the Bukit Piton Forest Reserve. Secondly, WWF-Malaysia has played very important roles in bridging better communication and understanding between the state government of Sabah with the national and international stakeholders. Also, technically, WWF-Malaysia has improved capacity building to the Sabah Forestry Department and Sabah Foundation personnel in the aspect of wildlife monitoring program within Bukit Piton Forest Reserve.
This was in March 2012 during a process of exchange of areas, state land to reserve into state lands and reclassification. We feel that this area has got to be given added protection. As a commercial forest reserve itself, it may be used for other purposes that may not be compatible with the conservation efforts that we have there, and we have to give it additional security of tenure.
Operationally, it has added value to the sustainable forest management program that we carried out within the area. Legitimately, the area is well protected since there will be no threats for deforestation or forest degradation in the future. And socially, it is accepted by most our stakeholders that have been supporting our effort in conservation and habitat rehabilitation.
This gazettement will promote protection and biodiversity conservation and will benefit WWF-Malaysia's forest restoration work in the area with stronger protection for our ongoing conservation efforts in restoring orangutan habitats and its habitat connectivity.
We would like it to be restored to as natural situation as possible. We can never get it back to its original form, but then we want to have a landscape that is of value to the targeted species that we want to protect, and we want to enhance the ecology, the environmental services that you can get out of that place. We want to support all that by letting nature heal itself, and by we want to hasten the process of recovery.
The challenges mapping the distribution of orangutan is part of measuring the success of WWF Malaysia Forest Restoration Program to improve habitat for orangutans. This effort will include expensive aerial survey via helicopters to site and record orangutan nests, follow up with ground surveys, as well as obtaining satellite imageries. Other than that, a long-term monitoring plan is important in order to monitor the successes of the forest restoration program. This plan would not only look into orangutan occupancy in the reforested areas, but would also include monitoring the behavioral patterns of the orangutan population in Bukit Piton Forest Reserve.
From a political point of view, there was no problem, no issue at all. We had all the support, excellent support from the cabinet, particularly the Chief Minister himself. But the thing is, the biggest drawback is the resources that you need. You need to have people on the ground, you need money to restore, you need to rebuild the infrastructure for easier access. And I think by and large we have resolved those problems with a lot of funding coming in. We have foundations from all over the world, like the United States, the Adesium Foundation from Netherlands, with funding from Piton, I think, and of course Sime Darby is a big donor there. So that is an example where when you provide security of tenure and your program is seen as credible, you're actually doing things on the ground, more people are attracted to the project itself, to the program itself, and we want this model to be repeated elsewhere where we need help. I hope that it will return as much as possible to a landscape that is ecologically sustainable, a landscape that is in equilibrium, rich and able to move around and breed and have a future that is assured. I think this is the critical part of it, because Urus Gama, including Bukit Piton, is a critical zone for orangutan conservation, not just in Sabah, but I think for the whole world.
In general, we will maintain Bukit Piton Forest Reserve as a well-protected area with improved forest structure. So therefore, we will extend our program in terms of forest restoration and also habitat improvement in the future.
And hopefully within 5 to 10 years, this would have been completed. We want to continue to protect this area and let nature heal itself and take care of the place, and later on maybe we will showcase it to the world that even if the situation looks dire, with a lot of effort, a lot of commitment, you can turn things around. Actually, forest restoration, forest rehabilitation, that's the main forte of the department for the next 20 years. What I mean is from 2010 to 2030, we have this 20-year program of restoring and rehabilitating, healing as much of our forests as possible. And we are targeting something like 20,000 hectares of silviculture treatments, tending, in areas where you can still tend forests, meaning that there is still residual forest there are still mother trees, and through this process of silviculture tending, the forest will regenerate faster. At the same time, where there is no hope of natural regeneration within a reasonable period of time, then we will do rehabilitation planting, restoration planting, like what is happening in parts of Bukit Piton. But that is a challenge. We are being modest with our targets. Perhaps we're looking at about 5,000 hectares a year. So if you look at the next 20 years, if we can do 400,000 hectares of silviculture and perhaps 100,000 hectares of rehabilitation planting, which is a bit ambitious, then I think most, if not all, of those forests that have been damaged or degraded would have come to a respectable landscape picture. And that is our aim, our target. And for that, we need all the resources, we need help, we need technical support, but I think most importantly, we need financial resources. We have the technology, we have the expertise, we have the experience. We know what to do. It's just doing more of what is seen as successful.